Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Commander Stadium, where hopes are high, boards are wide, and at least one player will forget to hold up interaction. That's right, Jim, we've got a packed table tonight. 4 players enter, and only one walks out with bragging rights and a story they'll tell on Discord for the next 3 weeks. Starting off in the north seat, we've got Kyle with his "It's not a combo deck, I swear" combo deck. In the east seat, Jessica, running all gas, no brakes, no removal. Bold strategy, Jim. In the south seat, we've got Chad, who owns every dual land but has 0 answers. And finally, in the west seat, it's you. Not this fourth wall crap again. Now folks, Jessica on the ground tells us that this player brought 2 counterspells, 1 piece of removal, and a dream. A dream, Tom. That's more interaction than the rest of the table combined. That's right, Jim. And today, we're teaching you how to use that dream and remove anything on your opponent's board. Buckle up, folks, because this is the ultimate guide to interaction in EDH. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, you beautiful, beautiful viewers. My name is Really Bad at Magic the Gathering, or Really Bad for short, and today we're discussing one of the most pivotal types of cards in your commander decks. If Jim and Frank in the introduction didn't spell it out, we're talking about the famous interaction suite. These types of cards that will win you more games and make your friends cry at the exact same time. I do apologize in advance for my lack of voice. I had a really fun time with my friends this weekend. Regardless, let's talk about what interaction even is. I define interaction as anything that affects your opponent's plans. It's not just destroy creature or counter spell, but it's the art of responding, disrupting, and yes, certainly rage baiting your buddies. But what are the different types of interaction you can utilize to crush your opponents and win more games? The first type of interaction is single target removal. Remove creatures, artifacts, enchantments, planeswalkers, graveyards, and lands. When I think about single target removal, I want to ensure that my deck can handle most and hopefully all types of cards that may be on the battlefield. You have the tried and true classics of Path to Exile and Swords to Plowshares for exiling a creature, which is key for those pesky indestructible folks. But moreover, you have red damage spells, black destroy spells, green fight spells, and blue snapback effects. For artifacts, you have the classic Abrade in red, Return to Dust in white, Resculpt in blue, Gate to Phyrexia in black, and any green spell on earth. Enchantments and planeswalkers are similar deals, but I want to take special note to talk about land destruction and graveyard interaction. These are easily the 2 places in which interaction is the most lacking in most commander decks. Most black decks run a Bajuka Bog and simply call it a day. However, we have all been hit over the face with a chair by a graveyard deck that keeps looping value pieces. Most players will twiddle their thumbs and get a Curse of Marauder looped, but you will be playing pieces like Ghost Vacuum, Relic of Progenitus, and Grafdigger's Cage. However, with the point on land destruction, there are very, very pervasive lands nowadays that can impact us. Things like Cavern of Souls or funky utility lands. I would argue that single target land destruction is something you should always utilize in a deck, as more often than not, you'll run into at least one problematic land per game. A final note on single target removal, there is always a beefier option. Note, with some of the best graveyard hate pieces, they impact multiple players at the same time. We can extend this to creature, artifact, and enchantment removal as well. Getting a 2-for-1, or even better, a 3-for-1, meaning spending 1 card for X in value, means you're doing something right with your resource management. You have options in most colors, but think of cards like Druid of Purification, Decimate, Curse of the Swine, Wear and Tear, Sholdred's Edict, Grasp of Fate, Soul Shatter, Dismantling Wave. All of these options quite literally give you more bang for your buck and will certainly win you more games. But really bad, I think you forgot to mention board wipes. You know them, you love them. I'd maybe run 1 to 2 pieces of board wipes in your deck to ensure that you can restart the game if you feel like you may get curb stomped the turn after. And there are many options available to you in all colors. These are always an option and become even better when they're one-sided. The next type of interaction is the counterspell, also known as your ability to lose friends simply by saying, "I'd rather not," to a spell while it's on the stack. Notice how I said on the stack. For newer players, this is a weird concept to wrap your head around, but every single card, despite it being a permanent type like a creature or an enchantment, is a spell as soon as it hits the stack. The stack being the space in which players can respond to the creature either being summoned or entering the battlefield. And this is your time to shine. Is a commander being played? Counter it. A board wipe while you're in the lead? Counter it. The green player plays a fog after you swing with 200 goblins? Counter it. The Oracle player attempting to go for a win? Counter it, please. This is the best way to interact with a multitude of different spells with the trade-off of you being forced to hold up mana. If you keep up 2 blue for a counterspell instead of casting your commander on turn 4 and no one casts anything scary, unfortunately, you may have wasted a turn. The next type of interaction is disruption. This is probably an even faster way to lose friends because you're stealing cards and changing targets. This is a phenomenal way to add to your threat level and continue pushing yourself along for a win. Think about cards that hate your opponent's boards. Things like Douthie Voidwalker, taking your opponent's used cards or blown up cards and using them for yourself. The same is true for cards like Agent of Treachery. Take control of something your friend has on their board and reap the benefits. On the point of changing targets, this is one of my favorite ways to interact. Deflecting SWAT is the most tried and true example, but any of the redirect spells can absolutely hamper your opponent's strategy. Is someone trying to storm off on their turn by recasting a Mizzix's Mastery? Simple. Change the target from that Grape Shot to a silly burn spell that doesn't have Storm, and all of a sudden, their 40 spell turn amounts to nothing. Or maybe your creature is finally getting its spot in the limelight, meaning it's being targeted off the face of planet Earth. Make your opponent sob by redirecting lightning their removal to their commander. I promise you, next time they'll think twice before removing your stuff. And on the same note of those redirection spells are protection spells, your board's personal bodyguards, keeping your threats alive and your opponent's frustrated. Protection spells are all about saying, yeah, actually that doesn't happen. Whether it's hexproof, indestructible, phasing, or the aforementioned redirect, these cards turn your opponent's removal into wasted effort. And every color has its own option. White has Teferi's protection, green has heroic intervention, blue has things like slip out the back, and black trades life for safety with Malakir Rebirth. And that's the best part. Protection doesn't just save your stuff, it wins trades. Your opponents spend a card to stop you, and you spend a cheaper card to keep rolling. Suddenly, you're ahead on tempo, resources, and the game itself. If removal keeps your opponents in check, protection keeps you winning. Last but not least, we have Stax. This is the one that not a ton of people like. It makes spells more expensive or makes them straight up unplayable. There are many Stax effects that can hamper your opponent's plans. Rule of Law effects to limit spells casted for turns, making Y'shtola and Urabrask decks cry. Or you play Stax pieces like Thalia to increase the cost of certain spells. There are even softer stacks you can use, like Mana Barbs or Shuldred, that can impact your opponents for taking game actions. I would be amiss if I didn't mention the craziest stacks pieces in Magic the Gathering. Drannith Magistrate, Glacial Chasm, Rhystic Study. But really bad! Rhystic only forces me to pay 1 every time I draw! Exactly. Taxing you for a game action is Stax. But lest we forget the other big hitters like Blood Moon, Opposition Agent, Collector Oath, all of these CEDH powerhouses have a gigantic impact on the game by limiting what your opponents can do with their resources, which is key for powering ahead of them. But with all of these interaction options available to us at any given point, it's time for the golden question. How much of it should I be running in my deck? In my humble opinion, you can never truly have too much interaction. However, a safe number to float would be at minimum 10 and ideally 12 to 15 pieces of interaction. While this seems like a healthy chunk of your deck, you can utilize certain cards to fulfill those niches. In my Delina deck, for instance, I could run something like a Braid, which is single target and can only be used one time. But Pookie Bear cares about copying creature ETBs, so why not use Plundering Barbarian instead? Rather than spending a Braid once, I can use Pitiless Plunderer to loop it multiple times and get the 2-for-1 I was talking about earlier, but it's on a creature that my commander cares about. These ideas of thinking laterally across different card niches will enable you to absolutely destroy your opponents. But considering all the different types of interactions and now the number in which we should have in our deck, when are the different times you can utilize them? So let me break it down for you. In my eyes, there are 2 times that interaction is most effective. You have proactive interaction as well as reactive interaction. For proactive, these are preemptive forms of interaction because you're already impacting your opponent's boards in an effort to prevent them from taking certain game actions. Think about cards like Propaganda, Polluted Bonds, or even Reanimating Valgavoth on turn 1. You mess with their plans before they even start. For reactive interaction, you're responding to what they're doing. This is where most interaction lives. Counterspell, Swords to Plowshares, Cyclonic Rift, all of these are reactive because you must wait for an issue to arise before dealing with it. Look, timing is everything. You don't just play interaction, you have to play it smart. So ask questions to yourself. Who is about to combo off or win next turn? Who has the worst board state that's impacting everyone else's? Can I save this piece of interaction for maximum impact? Or maybe the board is simply too clogged and you don't have the first clue on what to remove. This is where you ask the table. Hey friends, what's the biggest problem on the board currently? These questions and keeping an open mindset toward interaction will slowly teach you how to identify key problem pieces on an opponent's board and leverage your interaction to slow them down. But interaction isn't all sunshine and rainbows. We're human, and that means we make mistakes. So what are the common interaction mistakes that you and myself may have made? The first is over-interacting. Destroying everything will make everyone hate you. If you have interaction in your hand, sometimes it's more effective to hold it rather than spend it to simply take a game action. Interaction is at its strongest when you can use it when it's absolutely necessary. Don't remove the +1/+1 engine right as it's played, but rather after it's swung out at other opponents and is looking at you. The second interaction mistake is to ignore politics. Look, Commander is not solo, and if you don't play this social game, you're the target. One of my favorite political moves to use in EDH is to ask someone else what they think the problem on the board is. Once they claim what that problem is and you remove it, everyone applauds you as if you're the hero, and the person whose item you just removed may not even blame you because you asked another player for it. The last interaction mistake you can make is a timing fail. You counter too early, you board wipe too late, and you just wasted a spell. This is definitely the toughest thing to wrap one's head around. Sometimes you just simply don't know when the right time to remove something is. Think about the mana that is open on your opponent's side before you decide to remove anything. And moreover, play more games and get more practice. Unfortunately, timing skill is something that only comes with more and more game knowledge, but don't let your fails drag you down. Fail upwards. Ask, what should I have done better to deal with the threat after you failed? Now, Instead of wasting a card, you gain something even better: knowledge. Interaction isn't just about killing things, it's timing, it's social strategy, and it's knowing your deck. You have to master it. You don't just play EDH when you're interacting, you're controlling the story. So the next time someone makes a huge play, think, plan, manipulate, and have fun. Because after all, it's EDH. Making your friends cry, having fun with your friends is what it's all about. So if you like hearing my raspy voice, terrible advice, or lackluster meme selection, hit the like button, smash the subscribe button. We're almost at 3K, holy moly. And tell me your interaction horror stories or triumphs in the comments below. These are my socials. Ooh, ah, wow. Discord, ooh, ah. But before leaving, I just wanted to say happy Thanksgiving to the folks at home watching from America. I hope your turkey and mac and cheese is top tier. I hope your Thanksgiving drama is kept to a minimum. And I hope your Black Friday purchases are smart. But wait, one more thing! I just wanted to say that I am incredibly, incredibly thankful for everyone that decided to watch this small YouTube channel. We're almost at 3,000 subscribers. The Discord's growing. I love seeing the comments. I love interacting with you guys. I mean, it's truly incredible. This channel has only been alive for 4 months, and I've seen explosive growth. And it's all thanks to you folks. Thank you for supporting me. You guys are awesome. Be smart, be good, and I'll see you folks next week. Bye! If you stayed till the end, comment what you're thankful for.